Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for the first unboxing for the base set of the new Versus System 2PCG for a two-player card game, The Marvel Battles. You can check out my other video I've done where I went through and did a pretty decent how to play, going through what each card does, what the different types of cards, and how combat and everything works. So now that you can watch that if you want to know sort of what the game is, what the cards do, mechanics and stuff like that. Then I can just jump into these videos and we can start actually showing off the cards, which is what we're going to do. So I'll make references back to that video, so I'm not going to sit here and explain what every single part of the different cards are. So we're going to start off with the base set. You get 4 different teams. So you get the Avengers, you're going to get X-Men, you're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy, so you get 3 good teams, and then you get the villain team, which is the evil team, which is just called the villain team. And then later sets, as they come out, they start, usually it's usually always one good team, one bad team, but when they first started making these, they were always either 2 sets, either one team versus the other, in a big, like a medium box set, or they did another big box set with 4 teams. Then they went to a new structure system, where instead of releasing these big giant boxes, they released 3 sets. They started going like comic book wise, and they'd have like a year would be a volume of a comic book, and then each volume would have I think 12 issues, but they had sets of 3. So like issue 1 would be maybe a little bit bigger box set, kind of kicking off the theme of that set. Then the next 2 issues after, which were smaller boxes, went through and they just sort of talked about, they had like just little extra things. So like an example here would be, it shows off. So we have a volume 3, issue number 7, and a volume 4, issue number 3. So that way, so this is it, like year number 3 they started doing this. This is box set number 7. And this had Omega level, which is kind of the theme of, the Omega level is the theme of the entire set. Like the 3 sets, and then this issue was Futures Past, and this was Darkness and Lightness, and the set was Into the Darkness. Otherwise, they have bigger sets. You can get. They started going to these smaller models. They made the decks a little bit easier. Plus, they could focus. Each deck is usually focused on one team. Like the big deck might have multiple, like a combination of the 2 teams, and then like the smaller decks have smaller. Versus having to buy a box with 4 characters in them every time. All right, so that's enough for that. Let's just jump in and start looking at the characters. Because I'll do unboxings for all those videos and you'll get a better idea. So every set, of course, has, or every character generally has their 2 leader cards. So we have Captain America here, level 1, who's going to have Avengers Assemble. You can pay the red. And I'm not going to try and remember which each of these colors mean. I think this is Training Ground. But during this turn, enemy characters can't strike back during team attacks. And then side by side, his level up ability. When Cap team attacks and stuns an enemy character, gaining XP. So you really want to do them team attacks. And then he levels up. Still has the Avengers Assemble ability. That might help a little bit better. Then he has Leader of the Avengers. So you can pay a yellow to put a 1/1 counter on each character on your side. Those are pretty powerful. And being that you only can have 4 copies of each of these color abilities, plus your unique one, so at most you'd ever get to do is play one of these abilities 8 times in a game without some other effect happening. Makes them actually pretty powerful. Like, they seem pretty, like 1 for every character. That could be pretty game winning or whatever. But yeah, when you can potentially only play it 8 times, and doing that means you have to draw it and then you have to have that card either in your hand or on the table at the time. So you can't, so maybe you can play it 2 or 3 times in a turn, but then you're only got a certain time you can play it. Alright, let's jump in. We got the Hulk level 1, who gets Smash. Put a 1/1 counter on Hulk for each wound he has. So the more damaged he is, the stronger he'll get, even in his level 1 form. And you won't like him when he's angry. When Hulk gets stunned, he gains XP. So this guy could be a little bit... I mean, he has 3 health, so it'd be easy to force stun him. But you have to watch doing that, because every time you do, he takes damage. So make sure it's worth it if he's going to do it. And then he powers up. He gets Banner's Influence, so you can, during your build step, you can remove remove each 1/1 counter from the Hulk to draw that many cards. So there you can reduce his big attack back down if you need to, but you can get some cards to help you do some stuff. Our third hero in this set, so the base set, we're going to get 4 heroes for each team. We have Iron Man. So he's a main character, that's flight and ranged. He uses the Repulsor Blast with the blue. Put a -1/1 counter on enemy character. You may push it to the back row. So if they have a heavy attacker, you can try and knock them back. Or just give them that 1/1 might take one of them out. Armor Mark 3. When you put a character... when a character on your side powers up, Iron Man gains an XP. So anyone powers up, you gain XP. And then now we have level 2. Keeps his Repulsor Blast. Upgraded armor. Pay a yellow. Put 3 1/1 counters on any character on your side that already has a 1/1 counter. The kind of interesting there is that's the first of all these abilities. That he requires some other way to put counters on, because he doesn't have a way of putting 1/1 plus counters, I'll just say plus counters, on any character. But once you do, you can also boost them up super. So now imagine Hulk he has to take at least, just to point this out, so he has to take at least 3 stun damage to transform. And then you can play this to gain 1/1 for each wound. So he's already at 6/6 if you transform him. That could at bare minimum put him at 9/9 if you spent that. That's pretty cool. And if like you're playing a team attack, like a team game, and you both had characters out, then Iron Man could spend his to put an additional 3. So that could make Hulk a 12/12. That's only gonna work if you're playing a team game and each person has one of those characters. Alright, and then our last Avenger hero, a little bit more unconventional, is you have Spider-Man. This is not one of the other 3, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, are like the 3 main Avengers you think of, with Thor being like maybe the 4th one. And they're probably Thor over Hulk, but those guys are known to be Avengers. Spider-Man came in a little bit later in the game, but that's what makes his decks interesting, because they didn't just stick to the typical characters all the time. And you'll definitely see that. So you have great power. So in any combat, he can pay a fist, a green fist. Spider-Man gets plus counter this combat for each base-up supporting character on your side. So you can become a big boost in one hit. And then great responsibility, which costs 8 to level up. At the end of your turn, Spider gains 1 XP for each base-up supporting character on your side. So the more allies he has, his team-up ability, Spider-Man's famous for team-ups, he can level up pretty fast. And then we have his level 2, so he keeps great power. He gets Friendly Neighbor. Any combat, pay a yellow. Remove the defender on your side from combat and replace it with Spider-Man. Switch their positions, so you can swing in and take over for somebody else. So somebody forces you to, like, they force you to choose to attack, like, you're, like, really easy to take out character. You can swap Spidey in and win the day. So those are our 4 main heroes for the Avengers. So you get 1 card of each of those, and then now you're going to get 4 of each of the other character cards, so all the support cards. So this is enough to, like, So the amount of cards that are here, so this is all the Avenger cards. This is way more than what you need to make a deck. Even their recommendation in making a deck, like they're like for starting off, I think they have you pull 2 copies of each card, but they give you 4 because you're able to have up to 4 of each character. So then, what's neat about the way this game works is, so now if I go to make a deck, I can pick my main characters, and if I just want to play Avengers, I can customize it however I want. Like, oh, I don't like Ant-Man's ability. I don't have to include Ant-Man at all. I can put 4 copies of another character instead of 2 copies of that and 2 copies of Ant-Man. So you at least get some straight up customization right off the bat. And all the subsequent sets do this as well, with very few exceptions. There are some cards that are like limited 1 per deck, so they don't give you a bunch of extras. But most of the time they give you 4 copies of every card, so you can customize your decks however you like. Or also, if you're playing like multiple people, each person can kind of spread some of the cards around as well. But it's just you don't have to buy multiple sets of the base game to play it. So here we have Ant-Man. He costs 1. He has Shrink. The first time he's attacked each combat, you may cancel this combat. So he's only got 1 health. And what am I doing? Instead of putting all these up, I'm just going to put 1 copy of each up. So we have Black Panther, 2 cost, Ferocious. During melee combat, he strikes before enemy characters, so he'll do his 3 damage. If he takes them out, then he doesn't get attacked back. I love the artwork on these cards too, because they're like brand new artwork. They're not just ripped from an issue. Anytime a Marvel game or a comic book game or any IP really makes brand new artwork, I love it. Because I don't know, I get frustrated when it's just, we took it straight from the issues. I mean, yeah, some of the issues have great artwork, but you know, the comics, they don't always look that great either. And I'm not going to say it happens for every set in here. So here we have Black Widow. She costs 1, has ranged. Sting, when she appears, put a minus counter on an enemy character. She can take out another 1 cost character. We have our supporting version of Captain America, who keeps his leader ability. So that is one thing that's really neat about lots of the characters. So their support abilities, they try and mimic as much as they can. So his has, this turn, enemy characters can't strike back during team attacks. So as leader, well, as a team attacking, you get to choose the defender. So it's not the same thing, but he keeps the same theme about doing team attacks. Then he also has Inspire. Says when another character appears on your side, put a 1/1 counter on it. So this would work well with that Iron Man getting to put counters out as well. Then we have the old school Avengers with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in there. And then we have Daredevil. Trying to get this so it's focused, but so there's not all that extra glare, but the way my lighting system is. One moment. Alright, hopefully that fixed some of that glare problem. That's the downside about sleeving and then trying to get my lights to work right. Alright, so here I have Daredevil, cost 2 dodge. He can't be ranged attacked. And then Fearless. When attacking a main character, Daredevil strikes at double his attack. So if you can get him up, he can do some damage. We're going to get Doctor Strange, who has 5 costs, so one of our more expensive characters. He has Flying, Transmute. Pay a yellow, choose a character, and turn all of its plus counters into minus counters or vice versa. Yeah, so this could be a nice little trick with some characters if they have a way to get minus counters on them, or if they need plus counters. Like even using like Black Widow, it says when she comes into play, you can put a -1 counter on someone. So you could put one on one of your characters if you have multiple ways of doing that, and then drop Doctor Strange. I mean, it'd be an odd strategy, but I love that there's ways you can do stuff like that. Here we have Hawkeye, a 2 cost. He has ranged, of course. Take aim, pay a reg. Next time Hawkeye attacks during this turn, he gets +3 if it is a ranged attack. Ranged enemies can't strike back against him. So now he can do 5 damage to someone, and then he doesn't take damage back, which is sweet. Here's our supporting Hulk. So he has incredible power. He costs 7. He's 7/7, which I find funny. And then main, you pay green. If Hulk has a wound on him, put 7/1/1 counters on him. So if he takes 1 damage, he gets stunned once. He also becomes a 14/14. So that's awesome. And then if you're playing Iron Man as your lead, you could put 3 more counters. You know, not that you need to have any higher amount. There's a higher amount, and that's probably not going to get you any farther. Speaking of good old Shellhead, we have 6 cost Iron Man here with flying range, inventive. When he appears, you may turn one of your face down locations face up. That is probably like a card I'm going to guess a lot of decks would include if they're mixing classes or different teams. Just because being able to reuse one of your special locations is, you know, probably super beneficial. And then we have Luke Cage, good old Power Man. So this might be from one of the artwork of the comic books because he's beating up some Age of Ultrons. I'm not going to say some of these character cards aren't like promotional or aren't art pieces, but a lot of them look very, very good. So there's Impervious Skin. If Luke Cage gets stunned during his combat, he doesn't receive a wound, so he can jump in with his big attack and he doesn't take it. Which is good because he can only take 1 hit. Alright, up next we have Miss Marvel. So better known now as Captain Marvel, but this is before she became that, and she was still her Miss Marvel form. So she has energy absorption. Pay a blue, put a plus counter on Miss Marvel for each other ranged character on your side. So you can stack some nice ranged deck and get a big bonus from that. Here's another ranged character. We have Nick Fury, 3 cost, range. The vast resources of S.H.I.E.L.D. Pay a yellow, put the top card of your deck face down into your resource row. If it's a location, you may turn it face up. So it's kind of cool. You get a free resource. You pay 1 thing, but you get a free resource. But then you have a possibility that you might get to use it again anyhow. Good old Spider-Man. 4 cost is dodge. He can't be ranged attacked. And then web sling. Pay a reg, pull back an enemy row character to its front row. So that helps if they're trying to keep a ranged character back or a support character behind everybody. We do have a Thor in this set, of course. 6 cost. This is some pretty sweet artwork on this Thor card. Lightning Strike. Pay a blue, put 3 minus counters on an enemy character. So you get like zap them with lightning. If they only have 3 health or 3 defense, you can left, then it kicks them to 0. They take a point of damage. You combine that with like Black Widow jumping out, hitting them for 1. You can take between the 2 of them. You could take out a 4 cost character or a 4 defense character. That's pretty cool. Then you're also going to get 4 copies of a couple unique plot twists. And now in this set, in the base set, each team has 3 unique plot twists. In later sets, the plot twists are definitely going to vary a bunch because they want to make sure there's enough plot twists that work with whatever characters are in the set. Some teams might rely on plot twists more than others. Or utilize other types of cards. So here we have Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Combat. Choose a character to get 2 plus counters this combat. We have Stark Tech. Main. Put a plus counter on a character with your side. It gains range. So again, this is going to definitely work with a bunch of those characters. And then we have Think Again. Play any combat just to cancel the combat. So that way, nice if your opponent spends a bunch of plot twists or abilities to like pump up a character and then attacks you, while attacking you, and then you just cancel it and then wastes all their stuff. And then the final card for the Avengers is going to be their special location, which is the Avengers matching, which gets you one of the 4 different location symbols for an Avenger character. Alright, that was all of our Avengers. Let's look at our next team, which is going to be X-Men. So we're going to start out a little unconventional for this. And we're going to start out with Deadpool, who's not generally known as being an X-Men, more just an X-Men adjacent character. But he is popular, so that's probably why they threw him in here. So we have a Merc with a mouth. Main, pay a red. Characters on your side are lethal this turn. When they stun a supporting character, KO that character. Man, there's no one left to kill. 3 level up. At the end of your turn, if all enemy players' characters are stunned, Deadpool gains an XP. So he's gonna might be fairly hard to stun character to do this. You have to stun all of them. So if you can do it early on, maybe, but like as the game goes on, if they get too many people, it's gonna be hard to level up. But he's worth it, probably. So he still has his Merc with a mouth. Oh, there's someone. Hi there. Pay a yellow. For the rest of the game, Deadpool can attack enemy players. A player can only be attacked if all its characters are stunned. While the defending player is 0-1, has 1 health, and counts as a supporting character. So this is Deadpool sort of breaking the game. If you somehow stun all your opponent's characters and get him leveled up, then during your main phase, you can choose to turn him into a pay 1 yellow, so you also have to meet that requirement. But then for the rest of the game after that, only Deadpool can attack the player. But only if all the characters are stunned. So then you again have to stun everybody, and then basically just hit them once and you beat them. So it's kind of a quick way for him to win. But there's some hefty requirements, because stunning every character is going to take a lot. Because if you have 5 characters and your opponent has 6, there's probably not a lot of ways for you to stun all 6 in one turn. So you have to somehow keep getting more characters than your opponent. One way is by using Merc with a mouth and becoming lethal, and then you're just straight up KOing all of them, so that you don't have to stun them multiple times. But you're only going to be able to pay so many red to do that. Alright, our next main is Professor X, who has Cerebro. So pay a blue during the build phase, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, put a character from among them in your hand, and the rest on the bottom in any order. And then Dream of Peace. Level up 4. At the end of your turn, if you didn't make any attacks this turn, Professor X gains an XP. So you just gotta go 4 turns without attacking. And then you can level him up, which will get him a little bit better stats. Still got your Cerebro. But then as Mental Domination, pay a yellow. Ready a face-up enemy character and move it to your front row or back row. At the end of your turn, move it back. So he's going to basically break his rule, take control of someone, and use him to fight for a turn. Pretty slick. We have level 1 Storm. So you have Lightning Storm, main. Put 2 minus counters divided as you choose on up to 2 enemy characters. And then Children of the Atom. Level up 3. When you activate a superpower, Storm generates an XP. So anytime someone uses one of these symbol cards, use a superpower, she gets to level up. And then her level up gets her some good stats. Plus, keeps Lightning Storm and Windstorm. Characters on your side gain flying till the end, during this turn. So there's some neat combos there. And then we got Wolverine level 1. So how can you not have Wolverine? So I know this isn't original art. This is also a weird pose for Wolverine, because I don't know, to me it makes him look, his face looks weird, like he has a weird mustache. But yeah, Sneak, combat, rank, play a rag, rank, Wolverine gets +3 this combat, and best at what he does. Level up 3, when Wolverine makes a solo attack and stuns an enemy character, he gains an XP. And then when you level him up, he gets healing factor. Pay a green, heal a wound from Wolverine. So yeah, you can keep healing him up. So basically, solo attack, and then he can gain some extra health. Alright, our supporting characters, we're going to have Beast. Ferocious. During melee combat, he strikes before enemy characters. So Black Panther also had that. So some of these are keywords versus superpowers. Superpowers will always have that, like pay this cost, do this, like combat, pay a thing. The keywords would just be extra things to help them out. So lots of these you're going to see in multiple characters, like Ferocious or Genius. At the start of your turn, if he's face up, you may draw a card. So as long as you can keep him up, you can be drawing cards. So combining him with like Professor X, not attacking, you could like be gaining some extra bonuses that way. We have Cable. Some good old Rob Liefeld art. Ultimate Soldier combat. Pay a rain or a rag. At the end of this combat, stun each enemy character that survived the combat. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So even if they don't take you out, they're gonna get stunned anyhow. Colossus, with some eye artwork, because it's not traditional Colossus. I want to say it's not House of M. I don't think it might be. It's an alternate Colossus. So it's kind of weird when they do that. So he has Toss. When he appears, choose another character on your side to gain range this turn. So you can fastball special Wolverine. Organic Steel combat. Strength, pay a green Colossus gets 5/5 this combat. Alright, and then we have good old Cyclops. Looks like he's fighting with an Eternal behind him, which is kind of interesting, based on the current storylines. Leader, while his team attacking, you choose who the defender strikes back against. And then Battle Tactics. Pay a reg, move a character on your side to your front or back row. So you can adjust outside of the formation step. Just in case like you need to because it comes after your combat step or main steps during your combat. So you might have attacked or not been able to defeat someone. You're like, oh crap, that guy's still alive. I'm gonna move this other person in my back row or my front row for a defense. It's kind of neat. You get to move guys around when you need to. We have Deadpool's supporting card. Mercenary, he can team attack with any main character. So he doesn't care what team they're on. And then, can't keep a bad man down. Build, pay a green. If Deadpool is in your KO pile, put him into play. And there's, hold on. Is this the same game or a different game? Referencing this as an updated version of an old game. This is the only guy I've seen so far that has flavor text, which is something they used to do on cards a lot. Here we have Emma Frost. Mind Games. When she appears, you may have a player discard your hand and draw that many cards. Nice, and kind of reset people's hands to me if they're bad at bluffing and you think they have something good. Speaking of a hand of cards, we got Gambit. Kinetic card throw. Pay a blue, discard a card that costs at least as much as a face-up enemy supporting character and stun that character. So a free stun. You can't argue with that. Hope Summers. So she has Mutant Power Duplication. Hope has all the powers of each other face-up X-Men supporting character on your side. This includes range, flight, and appears powers like Iceman's Freeze. So if they have an ability that says when they appear, she also gains that when she appears, she gains that ability as soon as she hits play. So So playing her early on, probably not that great, but playing her mid late game, she can become a beast. Speaking of Iceman, he has 1 cost and he has, very low stats. 1 health, 2-1 defense. Which says when he appears, exhaust a character it can't ready during its next turn. Just being able to stop your opponent from using a character is worth 1 point. Then we have Magic. Just teleport to Limbo. Main, pay a yellow, put Magic and up to 1 other supporting character on your side into its owner's hand. So that's really neat, because that way you can, like, pull people out of danger. Like, someone has 2 or 3 health, or maybe like Wolverine or someone has like 5 health. You can pull them back before they die. Then you can replay them. Oh no, all my boxes are falling over. Yeah, then you can replay them with full health. So that's really cool. I also love the little other thing to look at is this, and here to its owner's hand. So that means it doesn't have to be a character you own. So if you use Professor X's secondary ability to pull another character to your side, you can then use Magic's ability to return that card to its opponent's hand. Which, yes, would also heal any of its wounds or whatever, but it would also remove any counters they have. And if it's a high-cost character, it would make them have to then spend a turn replaying that character. Or you could play like something like Iceman and replay him a second time. So now we have Namor. So he has Invade. While he's attacking a back row character, it can't strike back at him. So he can just fly over and hit someone and they won't be able to hit him back. Not terrible by any means. Professor X's supporting card, Mind Control. Ready a face-up enemy supporting character and move it to your side. At the end of your turn, move it back. Again, this should work well with that magic ability. Then we have Storm. Thunderstorm, put a -1 counter on each enemy character. On each character is pretty powerful. Black Widow comes in for free, does it once. She can do it to everybody at a cost. And then, finally, we have Wolverine, who has Berserker. When he attacks, put a +1 counter on him, and then regeneration at the start of your turn. If he's face up, heal a wound. So every turn, when he attacks, he comes to 6/6, and then if he does take damage, at least you can let him sit there for a turn and heal back up, so it's going to be a little bit harder to take him out. Then our plot twists is we have Squad Tactics. Love the old school artwork there. Combat, put a +1 counter on each character on your side in the combat. Uncanny Defense. Bamf, Nightcrawler teleporting, even though he's not in this set. Remove a defender on your side from combat, replace with a different character on your side, switch their positions. So basically, substitute somebody in, which is really fun. And then X Factor. Main, just ready a character. So if you exhausted them to attack, you can now ready them to attack again, or if you use the ability that exhausted them, now you can either use that ability again or attack with them. And then finally we have their special location, which is the School for Gifted Youngsters. It gives you your resources for each character. So that's what we have for our second team, the X-Men. Alright, our next set of heroes are going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is kind of a fun hero team because much like the Avengers, where they had some of the traditional Avengers and then they had some of the newer Avengers, this has the original Guardians, or the Guardians 3000, as well as like the more current iterations / movie Guardians. So I love that they played on both of them. So here we have Gamora. So they're a nice little swirling vortex for their symbol. Brutal Training. Main red. If Gamora stuns an enemy character during this turn, put 2 plus counters on her. And the deadliest woman in the galaxy, level up 3. When Gamora stuns a main character, she gains an XP. Alright, and then her level 2, she keeps her brutal training, she gains Godslayer Blade. Pay 2 green this turn when Gamora stuns a character, KO it. So that's actually really awesome. You can take out some guy with high health. It costs you 2 of your greens, but it's worth it if it takes out someone that might take 3 or 4 turns to take out otherwise. So this is a fun character as well. We got Groot, who has 1/1 attack and defense. It says, I am Groot. Says combat. Groot gains +1 counters for this combat for each resource on your side. So basically you can borrow your resources to grow really big. And then he has I am Groot. He levels up 5. When you gain a resource, he levels up. So once you hit 4, you can still use his ability. Once you hit 5, he's going to become more powerful. He becomes a 7/7, who still has his first ability. And then he has We Are Groot. Heal a wound from each character on your side, and then Groot becomes level 1. So that's a neat one, because now he transfers back down and forth between his 2 forms. If you want to risk it, so you can heal everybody. And if you have 4 or 5 characters you can heal all at once, it might be definitely worth dropping Groot back down. And then they can take a few hits protecting him. So to go with our buddy Groot, we're going to get a rocket. So he has Murder You. Rocket gains +4 attack till the next time he attacks during this turn. And then backs up against the wall. So he only needs 1 point to level up. When you have no cards in hand, Rocket gains an XP. So basically spend all your cards and then Rocket's going to level up. It's a little bit harder to pull off, but at least you only have to do it once. Then he'll have, keeps his Murder You, he gains 1 Raccoon's Garbage. Main, pay a red, choose 2 random cards in your KO pile, reveal them, put them into your hand. So spend your cards to level them up, and then you can get at least 2 of them back. You don't know what they'll be, but I'm sure they'll be useful. And then Star-Lord, for his older look, not his movie look. So this game came out in 2005, so I'm not sure when the movie came out. So it's probably, I think, like announced, or maybe it just started, just barely out. So it's probably designed with the idea of, hey, the Guardians are going to be, movies come out, maybe be popular, use some of the characters that are in the current Guardians comic books. Because actually the movie was based off of the team. The team in the movies was formed before the movie came out. So it's not like they retroactively did it that way, but they did start changing their looks to kind of match the movie. That's why they all look a little bit differently. We have the Greatest Guardian. Build, pay a yellow. You pay 1 less to recruit your next character during this turn. I don't know, it's being that you have limited yellows because you actually have to spend them. That's not super great, but it could be helpful if you really need it. Then he has Recruiting Drive. You have 5 when you recruit a character, Star-Lord gains an XP. So his level up, he becomes a good 4/7. He has Space Cop, pay a red. Each enemy character loses its powers this turn. That is actually really powerful, though, to stop them from really doing anything. I wish they would have done something more with his elemental guns, but that's just me. Alright, so now we're on to our support characters. We're going to have Adam Warlock. And if you haven't noticed, I've just been playing all these showing all these off in alphabetical order, not like based on power levels or cost or anything. So he has 13/13, which is incredible. In Evolutionary Cocoon, he appears stunned. So he doesn't have a counter on him, but he does come in. So you can't use him face down, so you can't see who he is or use him. And then it says Emerge. Recover Adam Warlock and ready him. Use his power only while he's stunned, so you can pay one to automatically flip him over and attack if you want. Get a little heads up. We have Agent Venom. So this is Flash Thompson's Venom, who was part of the Guardians for a while. I couldn't meet if they had his Space Knight outfit versus this one, but that's alright. Symbiote Strength. Pay a green to put 2+ counters on Agent Venom. Just power him up quick. We have good old Cosmo the Space Dog. Nullify. When he appears, choose an enemy character. It loses and can't gain keywords and superpowers until Cosmo gets stunned or leaves play. He shuts down using his mental powers. He shuts down one other character. We have Drax the Destroyer. 6 cost Berserker. When he attacks, put a 1+1 counter on him. And Grab. When he's in the front row, enemy characters cannot fly over him. Nothing goes over his head. Which again, kind of that quote from the movie, so it's kind of probably came out around the same time. But yeah, that's pretty cool, because that way if he's in the front, even though he doesn't have flying, he can stop flyers. So we have the support version of Gamora. We're going to have Lethal. When she attacks and sends a supporting character, KO it. So she's all about KOing them support characters. And then the support version of Groot, who's a 0/0. It says, I am Groot. Groot has +1 counters for each resource on your side. So the quicker you play him, the more powerful he'll be. Or the later you play him, the more powerful he'll be. Although he's going to grow every time. This is a static ability. So he's going to at least come in as a 5/5, but he could drop down lower if someone gets rid of your resources, potentially. He doesn't lose any of the counters, but if he gets stunned, he gets flipped over, he loses all his counters. Then later on, you only had 3 resources for some reason, and you flipped them back up, he'd only come back as a 3/3. We have Major Victory. So this was the leader of the Guardians 3000, the future Guardians, or the original Guardians, rather. Psychokinetic Shove. Main, yellow, push an enemy character to its back row. Yeah, it's just kind of helpful. Just get them out of the way. We have Mantis. And these guys have this blue and red outfit. That's what the Guardians wore for quite a while. Rebirth. When she gets KO'd, you may turn her into a face-down resource on your side. That's actually pretty incredible. Get a free resource if you lose a character. Moondragon. Drax's daughter. Heather Douglas. Mental Focus. Pay a yellow. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put one in your hand and the others on the bottom of your deck. We have a Nova. And this looks like this is probably the Richard Rider version, because I don't think the Sam Alexander version was part of the Guardians. Because most games now use Sam Alexander versus Richard Rider. I think this was still Richard Rider's version. It's the original Nova. Nova Force Speed. You can pay a blue to ready him. And we have Quasar. So this is not the first Quasar. This is the second one. I mean, not the second one. It's a more current one, I should say. There might have been other ones before that. Quantum Blast. Main, pay a blue, turn a location face down. You can shut someone else's ability to play a card down. So it's pretty powerful. And we have Rocket support version. Scavenger. Main, put a card from your KO pile into your hand. Just pick whatever card you need. Star-Lord. He has leader, so we'll continue attacking, choose who the defender strikes back against. So I believe Captain America, Cyclops, and Star all have leaders, so everyone at least gets that option. And then team up. Guardian ability. Each supporting character on your side is also a Guardian supporting character. So that's really neat. That's a synergy he can play off of. If you play him as a supporting character, then you can also have everyone else be able to team up with him. And then our last support character is Yondu, which does not look anything like the Yondu from the movie, because this is the original version, or from the Guardians 3000. He has the Yakaa arrow. Stun a supporting character at the cost of 3 or less. Just shoots them and stuns them. Alright, their plot twists are even the odds. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe see if I can do a little bit better look at his artwork there. So yeah, you have Major Victory there. You have Mantis, Rocket, Groot, and the guy right here at the staff. Oh crap, what's his name? He's a bug character. I can't think of it. My brain wants to keep saying Ambush Bug, but Ambush Bug is DC. I think it might just be Bug. Might be his name. He was from the Micronauts, I believe. Anyhow, combat. Remove all plus counters from an enemy character in combat. That character's current attack and defense becomes the same as its base attack and defense this turn. So it removes all their counters, and then it shuts off any other abilities that would give them powers, essentially. We have Give them a Lift. Put a +1 counter on a character on your side, it gains flight. And then we have Vigilante Justice. Choose a character to become ferocious during this combat. Its melee strikes before enemy characters. And then we have Nowhere, which is their special area to go to. And there you can see Cosmo and Quasar hanging out. Alright, so those were our 3 hero teams. Let's take a look at our villain teams. Now, this one is a grab bag, because all the other characters kind of had a theming of that team together. The villainous is just kind of this like green little symbol up there. Now, this is just a smattering of different villains. There's, I think in one hand, that's kind of cool, because you're going to have a lot more variety of powers. But then it also means you're not going to have as much cohesion. But it does kind of supplement somehow how the villains of Marvel work. Sometimes they're just there and they're attacking, and they might not realize there's even another one attacking. So, alright, we're going to get Green Goblin. Sadistic Choice. Main. Pay a yellow, choose an enemy supporting character and stun it unless that player discards a random card. And then Chaos and Destruction level up 6. When an enemy character becomes stunned, Green Goblin gains an XP. His level up, he gets bombs away. Pay a red, KO a stun supporting character, so if you can stun them, you can then go ahead and just free KO a character. The Green Goblin likes to sneak attack. We have Loki, God of Mischief. Combat. Pay a red. Play a anytime combat plot twist from your KO pile, then shuffle it into your deck. So not only get to use it a second time, you get to potentially use it a third time. And then plots within plots. 5. Whenever you play a plot twist, Loki gains an XP, so he wants to focus on playing them plot twists. So it's a thing you might have to change your deck up, so instead of maybe having 2 copies and 2 copies. If you're playing as Loki, you might want to have a lot more copies of plot twists and possibly cheaper ones, so you can play them more often. And then Master of Plots, pay a yellow, choose an enemy player to reveal their hand and discard all of their plot twists. So we've had a Spider-Man villain, an Avenger/Thor villain, and then now we have an X-Men villain. We have Magneto. Magnetic Force Field. Pay a blue. Magneto gets +4 defense this combat. It gives him up to 8, which is nice. And then Mutant Master. At the start of your turn, if Magneto is face up, he gains an XP. So, Professor X needs to not attack to level up. Professor X just needs to exist. Or Magneto just needs to exist to level up. But he also means that he's not going to level up before turn 4. Where some characters, if they meet the right condition, you might level up quicker than, once per turn. says mutant supremacy. You can pay a green to KO a face down resource. And that's crazy. Just to eliminate one of their resources. Then we have Thanos, the Mad Titan. So you have Court Death. Shuffle each character in a KO pile into its deck. Then put that many plus counters on Thanos. Shuffle each character in a KO pile into its deck. So every shuffle... yes, you pick someone's deck, you just shuffle other KO characters in there, so they gotta reuse them, but you're gonna gain a bunch of counters. But it's only gonna be as effective as how many characters have been KO'd and whose deck. So like you wouldn't be able to necessarily use it very effectively, like multiple turns in a row, because, or multiple times on the same turn, because it's depending on how many players there are. Then the Mad Titan, he needs 6 to level up. When a character on any side gets KO'd, Thanos gains an XP, so he can level up fairly quick. Which gives him the Affinity Gauntlet. So pay 1 of each of the 4 colors for each enemy player, stun their main character, KO 1 of their resources, KO 1 of their supporting characters, and they discard their hand. That is really mean for how much it does. KOing support character, a resource, discard your hand, which is going to ruin their next turn, and stunning their main character. But it costs 4 to do. So definitely it's going to be a little bit harder to pull off. But it seems very thematic for him. Alright, so now we're going to have Abomination to go up against our Hulk. Monstrous, when he is in a melee team attack, he strikes back against each attacker. So instead of them getting to choose which one, instead of having to choose one of them, he gets to hit all of them. The bonus for being such a big boy. Dr. Octopus. So he has grab, which is in the front row. Enemy characters can't fly over him, like Drax. And he also has Genius, like Beast. At the start of your turn, if he's face up, you can draw a card. So a good defensive character. Dormammu, Doctor Strange villain. Immortal, when he's KO, you may shuffle him into your deck. And Necromancy, pay a yellow and a blue. Put a character from the enemy's player's KO pile onto your side. That's crazy, just summon one of their characters you've taken out. Green Goblin's supporting version. He has Blast. When he appears, choose an enemy row and put a -1 counter on each character there. So, Black Widow gets to drop 1 counter, he gets to drop multiple. But he also costs 2 more. Then we have Juggernaut to take on our X-Men. Punch out his brother Xavier. Unstoppable, pay green during combat. While attacking solo during this combat, if Juggernaut stuns a front row enemy character and survives, he may immediately attack a character in that back row. So I love that he just runs straight through everybody. Loki. He's going to have Steamer. The first time you play a plot twist each turn, you may draw a card. Fairly simple, but you get to replace your hand. Although it costs 7, so by then, hopefully, you're not going to be playing a ton of stuff, and the game's getting closer to being done. Magneto, Magnetic Suppression. Enemy supporting characters can't recover; they remain stunned. So you're just going to keep shutting everyone down one at a time. This should work well with Deadpool, because everyone's stunned and then you can attack. Just keep them suppressed down. This one's fun. The villains have some really fun cards. I think it's also because they're cohesively, they're everywhere. Plus, I think also they're playing with, like, later expansions. They're going to add more Avengers, and they add more, like, X-Men and Guardians, so you have more different variety. They didn't go back to just villain very much. I think they have a couple here and there, but for the most part, they have them as teams. So they'll have like the Brotherhood or Masters of Evil, or the Frightful Four, stuff like that. And they don't go back to this just villain team very often. So I think that's why they kind of also have such ranged abilities. So you have the McLuhan rings. So if you play a yellow, you get to draw a card. A red, choose an enemy player to discard a card. Green, put a plus counter on a character. Or blue, put a minus counter on a character. And I like that it's just on a character, because again, you can manipulate that however you need it. Because again, counters cancel each other out. So if one of your character has a minus counter, you could put a plus on it to cancel it out. But in the same way, if your opponent has a plus counter, you could play a minus to cancel out theirs. Not necessarily having to do something. Or maybe for some reason you need to cancel one of your own counters, you have the option. We have Mystique. Impersonate. Play a red. Choose another face-up character. Mystique's base attack and defense become the same as that character's current attack and defense for the rest of this turn. She'll still be affected by any counters she has. So her 2/4 becomes whatever their current stats are, then whatever other bonuses she gains. So, if she was copying Mandarin here, for example, she would become a 3/6 plus whatever other abilities she had. So that's kind of neat. Red Skull. Got some bad guys. It's kind of interesting because he has, I don't know who all them characters are behind him on the one side, this side, but that's, where's my finger? This side, but that's, Ahab over there. So he has Dodge. He can't be ranged attacked. And Dust of Death. Pay a red. Stun characters that melee attack the Red Skull. We're going to get a Guardian villain, which is good. We have Ronin, but he's hanging out with the Inhuman Gorgon. Accuse. Pay a yellow. Name any card. Choose an enemy player to reveal their hand and discard each card with that name. I always find them the effects interesting, but I find them also kind of weak at the same time. Because if you don't have any idea what your opponent's playing, or you don't memorize your cards enough to know what they might have, like you're playing this base game, and you play it up, you might have at least some idea of maybe what cards they might have if they're playing like X-Men. But if you're playing now with everything that's released, and there's so many more X-Men characters that have been released, so even if you know they're only playing the X-Men deck, there's, you know, another, how many other characters that could have been mixed in there. There's not, so far there's not a ton of cards that let you view what your player's hand is. So you have Sabretooth, Ferocious, and Berserker. So he gets, Strike first, and he gets 1/1 counters when he attacks. Thanos, support character. Welcome Death. Pay a green, add a wound to all stunned characters. Plus he's 12/12. That's crazy. Our last support character is going to be Ultron, who has Swarm. You can have any number of this character on your side. This power can't be turned off. So you can have all your Ultrons on the field at once. And there's Replicate. Search your deck for a copy of this character and put it into play, then shuffle your deck. This is a 4 cost, not terrible bad to get out. Ranged, flying, 3/1. So he's not going to be able to take a lot of damage or block a lot. But you can have a bunch of them out quick. Our plot twists are Extinguish. KO a stun supporting character. Metal and Fire. Put a minus counter on each enemy character in combat. So it's great if they're team attacking. And Trickster God. Switch the current attack and defense of a character for this combat. And then their special location is the Vault. It's kind of funny that it's the prison. At least it's a little funny to me. Alright, so that was all 4 of our different teams. The last thing we're going to have is there are also some generic plot twists. So there's 4 copies of each of these. So it's not enough for each deck to have 4 copies. So like in the rule book, when they say making your 4 base teams, they suggest 1 copy of each of these. plus your other cards. But there's at least 4 copies, so if you want to build your own deck, like I'm playing my game and I'm playing against somebody else that has their game, I can always include up to 4 copies. I wish they would have had maybe at least 8 copies of these, so you could have potentially 4 in each player's deck if you're playing against a second player in the game, but that's alright. So the best offense is a good defense. Choose an attacker to get +5 attack this combat. Then we have Find Cover. Choose a defender to get 3 defense this combat. We have Open Fire. Choose an attacker to get +2 attack this combat. And Savage Surprise. Choose a defender to get 4 attack this combat. So there's 4 of each of those. So if you're playing with another person, that is enough to have 2 in one deck, 2 in the other. Or if you build all 4 decks and have them ready to go so that someone can pick up any of the 4 deck teams and play, like they suggest in the book you can do, each deck would only get 1 card. And the only reason saying that, like, because most other decks you have 2 of each card, so the only reason why having 1 of each is weird versus having 2. So again, if they would have included 8 instead of 4, then each player could have at least had 2 cards in each deck when you built them. I just think that would have made a little bit more sense, because we also have our location. So for each of the 4 different locations, you're going to get 16 copies. That's enough for 4 for each deck. So you can take, so right now you can take your locations, you can make all 4 decks. But you can't mix those other plot twists. So we're going to get 4 academies, which are different complexes, probably like a just some sort of college or school, nothing specific. We have 16 copies of Fortress, so again, you know, for 4 for each deck that you make. Plus, this also helps when you're playing games later on. You start mixing and matching other sets, because later, lots of later expansions don't include any of these. They might include special ones, but they don't include the basics. So you are going to need to buy this base set to play a game if you want to have your basic lands. So we have, here's Latveria. We have a laboratory, which is Stark's Armory. Our blue cards. And our final card of the entire set is going to be the training ground, which is Cerebro. Alright, so there we have it. That is the Marvel vs. System 2-player card game, the Marvel Battles. Check out my video on how to play if you want to know more about what each card, what some of these abilities, how the combat works. And then check out the other unboxings if you want to know more what other sets contain. And again, this is a base set, so you will need this base set. Oh, I didn't show off. You are getting a set of little tokens. I didn't show these off. But you have +1 tokens, minus tokens, XP tokens, and stun tokens. So you could get a bunch of these. They're kind of tiny, but they work for what the game is. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.